everybody, and welcome to Bottom Line with Roni and Byron. We do have a lot of news to get to you today, and we're going to start with Jackson Hospital's opposition to TOC's surgery center coming to Marianna.
And in national news, we'll talk about how New York Attorney General Letitia James ends her bid for governor as Trump investigation ramps up.
And then we'll talk about sports. The Chipola men's and women's basketball team are hosting the Panhandle Classic this weekend.
And for entertainment, we'll talk about Jussie Smollett's found guilty of lying to police about his alleged attack.
And then we'll go to our relationship T segment. How do you distinguish your friendships between inner core and outer core? Relationships T. All right, Byron, let's start with the hot topic of the week with Jackson Hospital basically going to the Marianna City Commission meeting and standing against the idea of Tallahassee Orthopedic Clinic having a surgery center here in Marianna. Now, we talked about this back in October, and at that time it was labeled Project Skeleton. Well, now we know that Tallahassee TOC is actually wanting to purchase the Jackson Square, which is right at Lafayette and Penn Avenue, want to purchase that building or actually the whole complex and make it a surgery center. Now, what has happened, Byron? This is interesting. At the meeting on Tuesday night, at the City Commission meeting in Marianna, what was proposed by the Jackson Hospital officials is that they want TOC to agree to three things: to not do any surgeries, to not do any imaging, and to not do any physical therapy for 5 years after they open. And Byron, the officials for the City Commission, they agree. They put an amendment to the MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding. And they also put in an incentive that TOC would get $200,000 as well as an economic incentive. So now the ball is in TOC's court, whether or not they will agree. What do you think about that?
Yeah, my whole thing is, it was a bit confusing. I'm glad you clarified a good piece of that, because I couldn't understand, and I know I'm not the only person. What's the big deal as to why the doctors and the hospital felt like TOC would take jobs away? Because from my understanding, it's orthopedic center. It's when it comes to I've got my orthotics from TOC, so I didn't think that Marianna Hospital provided that service. Now, if it's surgeries and physical therapy, I mean, even still, I don't see how that's going to cut into. To me, it looks like it'll bring a lot of money to that side of Marianna. But yeah. I don't understand that piece. And maybe somebody else is gonna have to school me on their real, true argument. But looks like so they did agree through that 5 year.
Yes, well, not TLC. The City Commission put an amendment to the memorandum of understanding, the MOU, to give to TLC that in order for them to basically have I guess it's not even approval, but in the incentive of the $200,000, you must agree to those three things: not do any surgeries, not do physical therapy, and not do any imaging. Now, here's what's interesting. Now, Jackson Hospital owns Chipola Therapy. Chipola Therapy is right there by Grocery Outlet. Okay, so that's owned by Jackson Hospital. However, the actual staff, the actual company that does the therapy is called Exodus Rehabilitation. It's owned by Chauncey Belzer. Now, so Jackson Hospital contracts their physical therapy with Exodus Rehabilitation. Okay, now follow me. So now they are basically fearing the fact that if TOC comes in and does physical therapy or does any type of surgeries, that they'll take money from the hospital as well as jobs. That's their complaint. But you don't not only have Chipola Therapy here, which is the actual name of the therapy center, you have Marianna Physical and Equated Therapy right down the street in that Burgundy building off of Lafayette Street. So there's another physical therapy place that's here. So so it's kind of like, okay, you're trying to say that you don't want any more competition, but you do have some already here. However, probably not is on the same scale as TOC. And what I think citizens are going to look at, two things, Byron. TOC, yeah, will probably bring in more machinery that the citizens can use, especially when it comes to people that are paralyzed. There may be some equipment that patients have to go to Dothan or to Tallahassee or Panama City to get therapy, because maybe there's not the equipment that's here. So that gives an advantage to the citizens here to have access to that equipment if TOC has something that the current therapy places don't have. That's one. And then two, economically, Byron, that is a $8 to $10 million project that will be sitting on West End, which means that's about $20,000 to $25,000 in ad valorem taxes per year, which means the CRA for the West End will get 80 to 90% of that.
Well, I'm looking at this from the standpoint of if TOC was just providing physical therapy, orthotic surgeries, and things like that to just Marianna residents, then they would have an argument. But if you bring a facility like that into Marianna, which on the West End is right off of 231, I mean, you bringing in people from Alabama, from Georgia, and Florida and West Florida. Not to mention, people will come as far as Tallahassee, because that's where their main facility is. People will come from all around. You would draw in more people. So it's not like, right, this facility is just going, if anything, it would bring more money to Jackson County. And in the event somebody wanted to make it could piggyback off of each other. Somebody, if TOC's booked up, hey, you've got this other facility. The other facility booked up, hey, you can make an appointment with TOC right down the road. I think this is one of them situations where people are afraid of growth, and they're not looking at it from the standpoint of the glass is all, is half empty versus half full. But people in Jackson County are tired. They want growth. They want something more where you don't have to hop in the car and drive 40 minutes or a 2 or 3 hour, 2 hour round trip for services that you can have right here, for restaurants, for entertainment. And this is one of those steps. So I think, it looks like it's a good step, but if TOC don't go along with that amendment, we could look at losing.
But here's my question, Byron. I did reach out to Jim Dean, the city manager for Marianna, and he said he spoke to both entities, TOC and Jackson Hospital, after that meeting on Tuesday night, and basically was encouraging them to both just to come together, because they currently have a partnership. TOC and Jackson Hospital already work together. They have a partnership. TOC leases their current facility from Jackson Hospital, where they are right now. So I'm hoping they come together, but I think my question is, so what if TOC say, you know what, we don't want to do all that. We just want to come in and buy. That doesn't stop them from coming in.
No.
With the relationship, but it does not, if they disagree to, because from my understanding, they've already said, okay, we won't do any outpatient surgeries for 5 years. We'll agree to that. But they went back and added those other two items. So they have not agreed to that yet. So my point is, they don't have to, and they can just come in and still open up and just have a rocky relationship with the hospital.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of, and I'll leave it alone. I watched the story of Walt Disney when he was actually trying to find land and property to build Disney World in Florida. And he actually came to Bay County, the Panama City, and waited for a long time. And when I want to say it was like 8 hours in the whole day. He sat and waited. And then at the end of the day, they came to him, was like, they didn't want no circus or nothing like that, in that area. And it's like, man, you couldn't even tell me you could have had Disney right here. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where don't be the joke in some movies, they'll say don't be that mayor off of Jaws, don't be that guy that let up something big happen or potential to happen in Jackson County. So
now,
yeah, hopefully
what a CRA is. That's the trust fund that the community will have to improve and to enhance the area. So like I mentioned before, this project could put between $20,000 to $25,000 in ad valorem taxes, and then of course 80 to 90% of that will go to the waste and CRA. So
I think in that agreement, if they somehow came up with something where it could be a how would you call it, not like a memorandum of understanding or agreement, but kind of like a sister company type partnership where they're sharing some of the influx of patients that come in, something along those lines. I think we'll probably make that deal go through. But if it's just them coming in and just getting all the business, I think that's what a hold up may be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully they can work together. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we will keep you guys informed on that. And speaking of, our local and state news is brought to you by Brightway Insurance. Brightway Insurance is located in Marianna at 2867 Caledonia Street. Go by and check out TD Horn and his staff. You can reach them at 850-633-3460. And you can get your property insurance, life, business insurance, auto, any insurance you may have need for. Contact Brightway Insurance. All right, Brian, my next story is going to be about the Beef O'Brady trial that's going on here in Marianna. For those of you who don't know, there was an incident back in July of 2019 where a patron that had just left Beef O'Brady's basically collided head on into this vehicle, and it killed not only him, but also killed the driver and the passenger in the second car. And so the husband of the passenger who died, his name is Stephen Blyton, and her name I think was Victoria, but he is suing Beef O'Brady's for wrongful death, basically blaming them, saying that they overserved the guy. His name was Misael Gonzalez, and that trial started on Monday and it continued on Tuesday. And so I'm waiting for some updates. I don't have them right now, but what has happened so far is that the defense is trying to say that, of course, the bar is not responsible, but the prosecutor is saying that the bartender overserved him. The guy drank, it was equivalent to 10 drinks over what he should have had in like a 2.5 hour period. You can see on the video, they showed the video where the guy actually got into it with a couple of people. And then, it was just unfortunate. Then when he left Byron, he, had the accident, killing himself and then 2 other people.
He looks like in that video, looked like he almost ran into the building as well. He was, yeah, I saw that footage. He was in bad shape. There's no way you not know that he had too many drinks. He was in.
Well,
he took his shirt off.
Yeah.
And that was another one. They said he was there for one of the staff members that I guess he was dating or something.
Yeah, he was saying that one of the staff members apparently, and so he had been there. But just just unfortunate situation. We'll keep an eye on that and see if they hold Beef O'Brady's responsible. I mean,
real quick, do we know if the because he passed away as well in the car wreck, didn't
he? Yes, he died.
Do we know if the family of Mr. Gonzalez is suing or got any plans to sue Beef O'Brady's as well?
No, haven't heard anything from his family, and haven't heard anything from the driver of the second car. So the guy that's suing is the husband of the passenger of the second car. That's who's actually suing right now. But it said that he had like a couple of Long Island iced teas, beer, and it was just, he was pretty wasted,
Yeah, There was no audio needed. He was in.
No.
Yeah.
He was in bad shape. So we'll keep our eye on that too and see how that turns out. And then Byron, I do want to mention something here real quick before I move on to state news. We have about seven people that attended the Florida State University of Panama City campus. They held a like an induction for people that had graduated from Florida State 50 years ago and 51 years ago. And one of them, I'll show you a picture. One of the locals that we have, I think it was about 7 from Jackson County that attended, but one in particular, her name was Frances Stone, and she graduated. She actually graduated 51 years ago, but they didn't have the induction last year due to COVID. So she was one. And then there was another young lady, you see her picture right there. Her name is Joanne Anderson. She was one also. So I just thought that was kind of cool to be able to, see that. And there was a class picture of all of them. But there was about 7 from Jackson County that attended, and they were inducted into on last weekend. So I think that was pretty good to be able to graduate from college 50 years ago and you're still here. Isn't that something?
Yeah, outstanding.
So awesome for Miss Frances Stone. Miss Frances Stone, that's her name. I want to move on to state. So we'll talk about what has currently happened, which Governor Ron DeSantis has said that if a bill came across his desk that will say that you don't need a permit to carry a gun and it can be an open carry state, that he would sign it, Byron. That's what he said. Now the bill, has not gone anywhere yet. Of course, it has to, get to his desk, but he has stated that if it gets to his desk, he would sign it. What do you think about that?
Well, doggone, I had to go through all that mess to get me my permit, and now you telling me I don't even have to have it no more. If a guy asks me how do I feel about guns, and I say, hey, if I could have 1,000 of them, I would, but my wallet don't quite. I'm a Marine. I'm a tanker. I love blowing up stuff, so I'm very. I take them very seriously. They're weapons. They're not guns. And I mean, but at the same time, I understand there's civilians out there that are just willy-nilly with things. They don't take weapons seriously. But yeah, I'm big on it. Alabama is actually an open carry state, so a lot of people don't know that. And the process to getting your licenses is not as lengthy as it is in Florida. So and it's kind of cool because Florida, Georgia, Alabama, typically states that are neighboring like that, they try to have the same similar laws to keep it where it's not such a headache for citizens in those areas. But yeah, I've got no problem with it. Kind of like remind me of the days of the wide earth. So when you come in town, you have to check in your weapon.
Yeah. Well, it's House Bill. It's actually House Bill 103. It was filed by State Representative Anthony Sabatini. But he said basically violent people will think twice if this becomes a law that you don't have to have a license or a permit, I should say, and you can carry it. Open carry. So we'll watch that. Anyway, that's going to be all for the local and state news. And so it was brought to you again by Brightway Insurance, located again in Marianna. So if you have any needs for insurance, such as property, house, your car, your life insurance, give TD Horn and his staff a call. You can reach them at 850-633-3460. And they are open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays by appointment only. What do you have for national news?
So for national news, before I begin, I want to talk about People's Funeral Home. Because we care, we're here when you need us. Long Granbury Funeral Services Incorporated, doing business as People's Funeral Home, Marianna and Battle Mortuary, Panama City, offers services that is within the reach of all. Their caring staff is available 24/7 when the need arises. The services are designed to commemorate the life being remembered at a price suitable for all. Give Cephas and Gwen a call at 850-482-2233 or simply stop by for more information. That's People's Funeral Home. So in my first story, I want to talk about house aid was arrested for bringing a handgun into the Capitol complex. This arrest came just hours before President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, their spouses and congressional leaders were scheduled to attend the ceremony for the late Senator Bob Dole at the Capitol. But it was the gentleman was a 57-year-old by the name of Jeffrey Allsbrooks. And he basically was coming through the metal detector, and boom, they noticed the gun in a handbag, and they immediately executed a lockdown. And he basically said, like, hey, I didn't know it was in there, which I played devil's advocate because me, working in the prison system, it can happen, and maybe not with I know a lot of people when it comes to cell phones, you just don't, you have it in your pocket, don't realizing it, but the purpose is to catch it. You caught it at the metal detector, and every now and then you get somebody to say, hey, go put it up. Right. But in this case, being the Capitol, and they have such strong protocol, they had to, activate, go into that security mode and that threat level, and to execute it as such. But the arrest came just hours, like I said before, the president, first lady, and vice president were about to go to the event for the late Senator Bob Dole. And we'll wait to see what his fate will lie. But hopefully
it's gonna happen.
I think he's gonna I think he's gonna get a slap on the wrist. He may, hopefully don't lose his job or nothing like that. But and if a thorough investigation comes out that he didn't have any intent, he just jacked up, he may get a suspension or something like that, leave without pay or something like that. I don't think they're gonna lock him up or anything for that. Because it happens. I mean, especially if you're in law enforcement or you're a hunter or something like that, you'll forget you have your gun on you if you carry it all the time. So that's a good segue from the last story. But yeah. So
maybe they won't, they'll give him like a slap on the wrist or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're not gonna, prosecute him or anything like that. But you never know what comes out of this investigation. But to me, it sounds like one of those cases where he just had a, bone-headed moment, and it ended up costing the whole Capitol to shut down, So in my next story, the Michigan school shooting survivors files $100 million lawsuit. So there were 10 students and teachers were shot at the school in Oxford Township, roughly 30 miles north of Detroit. 2 lawsuits seeking $100 million each have been filed against Michigan school districts. So they're suing the school district, its superintendent, principal, and others after 4 students were fatally shot and others wounded at the Oxford High School. Their lawyer announced the lawsuit was filed in federal court in Detroit. Attorney Jeffrey Feiger said Thursday they were filed on behalf of a student who was shot in the neck and wounded during the November 30th shooting, and her sister, who was next to her at the time of the shooting. So basically they're going after the school district, the superintendent, the principal, the dean of students, 2 counselors, 2 teachers, and a staff member, by saying that they knew more and they didn't do enough to stop the shooting from happening. Ethan Crumbly, a 15-year-old sophomore at the school, was arrested at the school and has been charged as an adult with murder, terrorism, and other crimes. His parents, James and Jennifer, were later arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. But now, personal injury lawyers have expressed doubt that the school district will be successfully sued, letting Crumbly stay in school, because it's such a high bar when it comes to writing liability cases out on public schools, because they've got a lengthy preview over what they can do and what they can't do, and sometimes they're thinking it probably won't be a victory. But the attorney for the school district, you have to show said that you have to show that the administration or faculty members were grossly negligent meaning they had a reckless disregard for whether an injury was likely to take place. So we'll see what happens with that case. But this was just a family of two of the students that were injured. So we don't know. Maybe more coming from that. And then my next story is New York Attorney General Letitia James ends her bid for governor as Trump investigation ramps up. So I don't know if a lot of people knew, but New York Attorney General Letitia James, she had her hat in for the campaign race for New York governor. And she announced this past Thursday that she's suspending that campaign and she'll just go ahead and run re-election for Attorney General. She has led the investigation into former Governor Andrew Cuomo and has been investigating the Trump organization. So her statement was, I've come to the conclusion that I must continue my work as Attorney General. There are a number of important investigations and cases that are underway, and I intend to finish the job. I am running for re-election to complete the work New Yorkers elected me to do. So that's that stance. Her announcement came hours just after the Washington Post reported that James is seeking a deposition from former President Donald Trump early next year as a part of her investigation into the Trump organization. Source familiar with the matter confirmed that CBS News that James has asked to depose Trump on January 7th as a part of a civil investigation into whether the Trump's company committed financial fraud. So we'll see where that goes.
So it sounds like she has her hands full. That's why she decided not to.
Yeah.
That's a lot, you know.
Because for a second I was thinking, well, she was running the investigation on Trump, and now she is on Cuomo. So maybe now to another point to be made. Her poll numbers weren't that good in the first place. The interim governor, current governor right now, Kathy, I hope I'm not murdering her name, Hochul, she was leading James by 36% to her 18. And
she may have saw the handwriting on the wall too. That could be it.
She probably saw the writing on the wall and said, you know what, I'm gonna just stick where I'm at. And go for what I know is what I feel is a better opportunity to stay in place and do what I'm doing. So but that is national news. And once again, I want to talk about People's Funeral Home because we care. We're here when you need us. Long Granbury Funeral Services Incorporated, doing business as People's Funeral Home. Marianna and Battle Mortuary, Panama City, offers services that is within the reach of all. Their caring staff is available 24/7 when the need arises. Their services are designed to commemorate the life being remembered at a price suitable for all. Give Cephas and Gwen a call at 850-482-2233 or simply stop by for more information. That's People's Funeral Home.
Okay, well, I'm going to switch to sports and start with Chipola. They are hosting the Panhandle Classic. It started on yesterday, Friday, and it will continue on today. Today, the women, they actually play, they play today at 1 o'clock. And then, they play today at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. And then the men play today at 7 p.m. So the Lady Indians, they will take on Jones College at 5 o'clock, and then the men will take on Gadsden State at 7 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, Jones County at 7 o'clock. So if you want some, junior college basketball action, check out Chipola's Panhandle Classic. Again, the ladies will play at 5 o'clock today, and then the men will play at 7 o'clock tonight. Now, there are some other games going on as well. Hillsborough women, they're here. Central Georgia Tech is also here. Pensacola men is here, and then Gaston is here. So those games, there are some games at 1 o'clock today and 3 o'clock as well. So today is the last day, Saturday, to be able to check out Chipola basketball. And then I'll move on to, I want to mention the young man at Florida A&M University. His name is Marquise Bell. Marquise, I'll put that picture up. He's actually a defensive back, and he's entering into the draft as a free safety. So yeah,
Sweet.
so looking forward to watching him. But Marquise Bell, he's number 5, and yeah, bright future. I feel that is ahead of this young man. And then I'm going to move on to Florida State. Now, Florida State's women's soccer team, they won the national championship. Did you know that? That took
No,
place on, yeah, they won the national championship, and apparently this is their third title. I didn't know that.
huh.
Yeah, and then second in the past 4 years, but this is the third time in the program's history that they've won the national championship, and then they've won 2 in the past 4 years. So congratulations to the Florida State soccer team, women's soccer team. And then as far as Florida State, they have a new AD. They changed, and they have hired Michael Alford as their new athletic director. So Florida State University has a new athletic director. So I want to make sure he starts, wanted to make sure people are aware of that. He starts on January the 3rd. He used to be the president and CEO of the Seminoles Boosters. That's what his last post was. So now he is the athletic director. Okay. And then I want to move on to some sad news. Unfortunately, the NFL lost a former Denver Bronco, Demaryius Thomas, who actually retired just in June. And unfortunately, he passed. He was found in his home on Thursday, and it's suspected that he may have passed from a seizure. They said in the last year he's had seizures, so they're thinking. But he was only 33 years old, and he has a birthday coming up December 25th on Christmas, and he would have been 34. So that's unfortunate that this young man passed at an early age. But that is Demaryius Thomas. Prayers to his family and into the Denver Bronco program. He actually was in the league for about 10 years, 10, 11 years.
Yes, yeah. And that's sad, man. Yeah. That's crazy. And to be, so young, it's things like that, it's like an aneurysm or something like, it's just, you never know when that time will come, But
they're speculating it was a seizure because they say he had seizures in the last year.
Yeah, I was watching was it Skip and Shannon, and he was saying how he had these seizures and he was afraid to be by himself at times because he would have seizures like that. So
because I don't think they know how long he has been dead. He was found. So apparently he was by himself, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I the thing about it, it kind of creates anxiety for for me as well. When you have you're diabetic, when you have situations like that, you often wonder, you're like, I don't want to be by myself all the time, because something happens. I want to be somebody to be, if I drop, then somebody can call and get me attention. But it's like that I've fallen and I can't get up situation where you may have people come by the house all the time, but if I've been sitting there for 4 or 5 hours, might not make it. So
that's unfortunate. But he was a wide receiver. Like I said, he entered to the draft in 2010 and played most of his career with the Broncos. But he did go to college at Georgia Tech, so that's where he did get. So just a sad situation. That was Demaryius Thomas, dead at the age of 33. Yeah. And Byron, that's going to be it for our sports. What do you have for entertainment?
So for entertainment,
I'm sorry, Byron. I must mention Simone Biles has been named the Times Magazine Athlete of the Year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Simone Biles. We can't forget that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had some time, at the Olympics and made a stand, took herself out of the game. And put her mental health first and caught some flack about it, but she persevered, and Times Magazine has named her the Athlete of the Year. Congratulations, Simone Biles.
Yeah, making us proud. Okay, so for entertainment, my first story I'm going into, as Dave Chappelle calls him, Juicy Smollett, but Jesse Smollett was found guilty of lying to police about his alleged attack. Jury found Jesse Smollett guilty on 5 of 6 counts of lying to police about his alleged attack he faced in 2019. 12-person jury deliberated for about 9 hours before reaching their verdict on Thursday. Smollett, 39, was convicted of telling 2 different officers that he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack on January 29th, 2019. The actor was acquitted on 1 count of disorderly conduct for lying to a separate officer in February 14. The former Empire actor will remain free on bond until awaiting his sentence. His conviction, though, is listed as Class 4 felonies, and he could face up to 3 years in prison. So he is. It looks to me, the statement that he tried to make in the case was that he had a sexual relationship with one of the men, and and before the attack, and that his communications with the brothers the night of the attack were about scheduling a personal training session. But one of the
a lot of money for personal training. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? 35.
So I have not gotten a check written for that much yet.
$3,500 was what the check was for. The brothers testified during the trial that Molet asked them to carry out the fake attack. And one of the brothers, Abel, which Smollett was accusing of having the sexual relationship with, denied having that relationship with him. Smollett has also repeatedly denied the attacks, telling jurors that there was no hoax. But prosecutors basically said, there was overwhelming evidence, and that he told the jurors that it was just plain wrong for him to use fake hate crime to make whatever point he was trying to make. He also reiterated doubts about Smollett's testimony. He argued that he would not have gone out to buy eggs at 2 a.m. on one of the coldest nights of the year, and that the brothers would not have been able to ambush him unless they knew his exact location. They knew where he was going to be because they were told that where he would be. So his attorney still denies the allegation, arguing that prosecutors' case was built like a house of cards. But I don't know how you can say that if you lost and they won. So he did say he's still gonna try to appeal. I don't know what the argument, what he's appealing for, what the argument he's making. But for jurors to take 9 hours, I think they probably the only thing that took him as long as they did is to make sure that the crime and the punishment stuck. So
what's his proposed, or what's the possibility of his punishment?
The max is up to 3 years in prison. I think the minimum is a couple of weeks in jail and probation.
So has he done anything? Like, I mean, of course, Empire is done, right? So he didn't go back after that incident, correct?
Yeah. They took him off the show. I hadn't seen anything of him. Nice, his sister. I followed her for a while, and my introduction to Justice Smollett was on Empire. But I haven't seen him on anything else, and you never know. Maybe he can make a bounce back from that. Maybe somebody will give him a job. But
I mean, he's a great singer. I mean, I thought he was a great actor. I used to watch the show, and so just kind of unfortunate that he kind of.
It wouldn't have been so bad if it went so viral. He had people like D.L. Hughley, and he had a lot of celebrities that
aid and defense.
And he made everybody look stupid. So
that was a good one.
I mean, he really did at the height of all of the controversy surrounding Trump and it was like, man,
he didn't have to do that, because from my understanding, he did it to get Fox to renegotiate his contract at a different price or a different pay raise. Is that what it came down to? And he was trying to bring sympathy on himself. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I don't know. They don't talk about it in that story, but to me, it just, like I said, some of the things people do, it don't make a whole lot of sense, and I don't think people really thoroughly think out the end game. Okay, if I'm gonna do is this really gonna get me the result that I'm?
Crazy things, Byron. But I think that was when the story first broke. That was when the truth came out, I should say. The gist of it was he was trying to get Fox to renegotiate his contract at a higher level. So basically trying to bring on sympathy. That seems to be his end game.
I tell you what people fail at is they fail to realize that people go to school for this. You know, when it comes to law enforcement, I think a lot of times with so many TV shows and so many movies, people think that they really can outsmart, you know, the criminal justice system, and they don't realize when you go out with some cockamamie, you know, plan that you think is just gonna be something that you'll get away with. People go to school for this, and a lot of resources got pulled out from Chicago
Yeah.
and other places for him, and to have all these people, you know, working the chase down. Yeah, you got people that spend a lot of years and experience. They'll find out that it's bogus, you
Yeah.
know,
It doesn't
and
make sense. Yeah.
and I mean he put it out there. Nobody, you know, he put it out there like that. So, but you know, either way, he's found guilty and he's gonna have to deal with the consequences. And I guess maybe in 100 years won't none of this even matter. But
Yeah, maybe not. Things tend
yeah.
to blow up pretty easily. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. So my next story, reality TV star Josh Duggar, convicted of child porn possession. So I don't know if people follow, me and my wife follow a little bit. It was a show that aired on TLC called 19 Kids and Counting. And this is out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. A federal jury in Arkansas on Thursday convicted former reality TV star Josh Duggar of downloading and possessing child pornography. The jury, about 140 miles northwest of Little Rock, found the 33-year-old Duggar guilty on one count each of receiving and possessing child pornography. He faces up to 20 years in prison and fines up to $250,000 for each count when he's sentenced at a later date. Duggar, he's also they also found that he had child pornography of images of children, even toddlers, and that they were downloaded in 2019 onto a computer at a car dealership Duggar owned. So this goes way deep. They began investigating after a Little Rock police detective found child porn files were being shared by a computer traced to him. And then federal agents did testify that the images depicting sexual abuse of children, including toddlers, was downloaded on that laptop. So his attorney argued that someone else downloaded and uploaded the images on his computer, but the jury was not swayed. His father, Jim Bob Duggar, which I did not know, he also starred in the show, but he's running for a special election for a vacant state Senate seat in northwestern Arkansas, and he was previously Arkansas. He served in the Arkansas House of Representatives. So it's crazy how these things come out, but it's outright sick, you know, in my opinion. And it should be a couple of life sentences on that, because I just don't know how you rehabilitate a mind that does something like that. But he's
had issues since he was a teenager, because you know that's why TLC canceled the show.
Well, yeah,
they
and
canceled the show in 2015 because of sexual abuse scandal involving, you know, him basically molesting his sisters.
Yeah, and I was gonna get to that. The authorities had what began the investigation, that abuse that happened in 2006. They got a tip from a family member, but it ended up it went over the statute of limitations, so he went and it expired. So he went on and apologized and admitted that he was fondling the sisters, and later apologized for being addicted to pornography and cheating on his wife. So it goes deep, you know. And a lot of times in these cases, you do find this wasn't the first case. It was a bunch of other stuff that happened behind that. So
there's layers to this story, Byron.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to 2003 when he was, you know, accused of allegations about, you know, him molesting his sisters. 2003, Byron.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was a young teen with that mindset. And apparently he, from one source, it said he went off to, his parents sent him to some kind of camp, you know, to try to get help. And they tried to help him. And of course, obviously it didn't work. But here's the thing, the police, did you know this? The police that actually he was a police officer that actually was trying to help him. He's now in prison for some similar thing.
Yeah, it might go deeper than that. That might be that child, the type of child ring conspiracy theorists was talking about. But yeah, I was reading, it was saying that the judge did allow jurors could hear the testimony about how in 2003 he admitted to molesting 4 girls. So and other friends testified and told about their abuse. So like you say, it's a lot there, you know, and then if that officer was right along with him, what do they say, birds of a feather?
He was supposedly be helping the guy.
Yeah,
but he turned out now he's serving time for similar acts. It's just so anyway,
well, in lighter news, or you know, somewhat lighter news, rapper Common just opened up recently about his split with Tiffany Haddish for the first time, which I hate to hear that. You know, there was a cute little couple there.
I thought so too.
Yeah, Common, he sat down for an interview with Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored host Jason Lee, and he kind of opened up for the first time about his recent split with Tiffany Haddish. He, believe it or not, I mean, he sounds like, you know, they may say the split was mutual, but he sounds like he's leaving that door open. What's that new song that's out? He's leaving that door open. He said, first of all, he said, I want to say Tiffany, as you know, is for me like one of the best people I met in life, one of the best hearted and most authentic and caring people that I met in my life. And that's what made me love her and be in love with her and want to be in a relationship with her and grow with her. He added that the relationship was real healthy and loving. It was probably the most mature relationship I've been in. The communication, the respect, just all around, man. Unfortunately, that seems like what made them split, because they had so much time separated from each other during the lockdown, and then they got right back to work when things picked up. And he said that I don't think the love really dispersed. I think it was just like we weren't feeding the relationship. And he said that it was a mutual thing because they didn't want to have one foot in and one foot out, as he put it. And he said, I feel like both of us cherished and valued our relationship, and both of us have come out better human beings. And then he said, excuse me, very much in my feelings at the moment. So I'm gonna leave that. When a cat talk like that, he ain't trying to let it go.
Yeah,
he ain't trying to let that go, you know. And in most cases, when people split, if they're good, they won't say all that. So I don't know. I think it's
maybe there's hope.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it was the distance. Like he said, the distance, they were not able to, like you said, feed the relationship. And you and I both know, I mean, that's, you know, that's, as we said, bottom line. You have to feed your relationship.
I mean, don't they look good? I mean, they fit, you know. I mean, hey, I'm a stickler for that. I don't like to see people give up, man. Just keep trying.
And it was so, you know, she's had such a hard life too. So it seems like he was good for her.
Yeah.
It's that balance, you know.
Yeah.
So,
if I could tell him, I would tell him, you know, hey man, it ain't like you went through a deployment and you was gone for 2 years straight, man. If we can handle it, you can handle it.
Yeah. But you know, both of them busy. Yeah. I'm sure. Hopefully they'll try to work it out if there's something still there. So
yeah. Well, that's it for entertainment. And that's all I got.
All right, we'll move on to our relationship tea, and we will today talk about friendships. How do you distinguish between the friendships that are inner core and outer core? Byron, so
real quick, explain to people inner core and outer core.
Okay, so in your friendships, you have you really have 3 layers. I just mentioned 2, but I'm going to start from the outside. You have the outer core. Those are your acquaintances, Byron. Those are people, you know, you see, you talk to, hey, how you doing? You may talk, you know, on the phone if they need something or have a question, whatever, but they don't know your personal business. Mm-hmm. They don't come to your house. They don't mingle with your family. Mm-hmm. Those are your acquaintances, your outer core. And then you got those that come in a little bit, you know, further. I'll say your middle core. They may come to your house, they may come over to your cookouts, or they may come to your events, but they still don't have that entrance way into knowing your personal business. So that's the middle core. Okay. We probably have a lot of people in that area, the middle core. You talk to them, talk on the phone, whatever, and they may know some things about you, but then you step into that inner core. Those are you, and that should probably be maybe 5 or less people that knows everything, just about everything about you outside of your spouse, that you feel comfortable talking to, the good, bad, ugly. That's the inner core. That's who you can go to. That's who you trust. That's who whatever you tell them, don't go past that. That's the inner core. So that's what I mean. Outer core, I'm going to add middle core, and then inner core. So you can't put everybody in your inner core. You get in trouble. You can't do that. You have to distinguish your friendships. Got it?
Got it. So I'll say to that, I've always knew that, and that's kind of how I do things, but I didn't realize that till to my my later years and currently, because one thing I learned with relationships and dealing with people, you can't be mad at somebody for being who they are. And I think that's a check on us. That's kind of one of those accountability things on us. For me, for instance, I'm big. I love hard. And whether it's my friends or whether it's a relationship, intimate relationship, I love hard and I give it everything I got. So I realized that what I demand is a very big cost for somebody to be my friend. To be that inner core, it's a big cost. Now it's big returns, because I'll give you everything I got and I'll go to the ends of the earth for you. But you got to be able to do that for me as well. And sometimes that's too much for a lot of people. And I understand that that's on me. So my expectations of others, to that extent, is a little heavy. So I had to do something. I had to learn how to kind of let people in a little bit, kind of test them, evaluate, and then say, okay, now I can categorize. Now I can say, okay, we good for,
the middle core. Put them in the middle core.
We good for we good for laughs and giggles and hanging out. Maybe going hunting or going, shooting, going, playing ball. But going deeper than that, nah. I've got others that, hey, that select few. No matter what I got going on, no matter what I need. They're there, and vice versa. No questions asked. If you need money, I ain't got to worry about hunting you down for my money back. Nothing like that. And it's just one of those things where people, you have to kind of, a lot of times we get mad and we get upset when somebody does something that we feel like they've double crossed us or something, but really your expectations of them were a little too big. And sometimes people tell you that, they'll be like, well, I don't do all that, and
don't
hey,
expect that.
You can't
to give what they don't have. That's what I've learned just here lately. I've, knew it, but I've just learned, I guess you can say it's been reiterated. You can't expect people to give what they don't have. So for instance, if you are expecting somebody to be that person that's dependable, that person that, basically handle things like you do, and then something happens and they don't, well, you got to look, what, that's not her strong point. That's not her skill set. She's not like me in that area. So
and here's another point I want to make. Understanding that those inner core friends, those like down core, they don't limit yourself to one space. They can be in the most uncommon places. For instance, you may hear me say, I'll say my homeboy, my dog, and I could be talking about a 88-year-old white guy. I could be talking about a 39-year-old Vietnamese. I could be talking about, and if I was to bring them in the circle and introduce, you'd be like, oh, I thought you said yeah, that's my dog. So my friends, my space is very wide. And like I say, if I've evaluated friendship and those relationships on, if you break bread with me, I'm breaking bread with you. I don't have to explain to anybody why I'm friends with this person, why I'm friends with that person. And I evaluate things at full face value. I don't go around trying to appease, a circle of people or this group or that group. If you're my friend, you're my friend, and I don't care where I'm at. You better make sure you speak to me. So that's me. So I think when people get to that understanding, I think the better life is, because you never know, you may have the best friend out of that might be a coworker that's 20 years older than you or younger.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying as far as you don't categorize people by their age and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said, you do have to understand you do have different levels of friendship. So don't get in trouble because you expect it to be confidential because you told somebody on your outer core. Well, those people on your outer core, they're friends with somebody else and they told that person and it spread it, and now you're upset. Well, you have to learn that's not your inner core person. She's
and you may be their outer core, and the other person may be their inner core.
Inner core. So they told the inner core person, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You have to understand how to evaluate your friendships: outer core, middle core, inner core. And that inner core, Byron, is very small. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of people in your inner core, or you shouldn't. Otherwise, you're gonna be disappointed. Because you may be their inner core, but they're, or they may be your inner core, but you may not be theirs. So they're telling everybody else that's in their inner core. So
I guess it's two sides of that. Understand your how other people are your inner core, outer core, and understand how you are somebody else's. Where you at? Where you at with your other friends? Because you may have them as your outer core, but they may have you as their inner core.
Right. Yeah. So just have that level of understanding. So you'll know what to share. And it all comes down to, I'm saying this, you'll know what to share and what to expect. Because you can't share everything with everybody and you can't expect everything from everybody. You just can't. That's just not life. So you have to learn that. Okay. All right, Byron. I think we are good for this show. How about you?
I'm good. We came together on the Christmas background.
Yeah, we're in the Christmas mode and festivities. So we got our Christmas background, and where Christmas is the favorite holiday for me. So I will do Christmas the rest of the month. Yeah. All right, Byron. So we're going to close this out, and thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show today. And remember, everything you need to know, you can get it right here on Bottom Line with Roni and Byron. Check out our Facebook page. You get more information there as well. We do have a YouTube page for those that have friends that are not on Facebook. If they want to watch the show, you can watch it on our YouTube page, which is also Bottom Line with Roni and Byron. And if you have any events coming up, please email them to bottomlinewithRoniandByron@gmail.com, and we'll get them on our Facebook page so they can be widely seen. Okay. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. And remember, when you know the truth, you can speak the truth, and the light shines brighter when it shines for two. See you next week.